The British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Hello, and welcome to your afternoon cast to 3:30. My name is Grace Chen. Here is what is making headlines now. According to a report by Statistics Canada, the average age of retirement is 67. Reporter Emily Deneen spoke to one woman who talks about what she thinks younger generations should do to prepare for retirement.
Carol Kelly says that pension is one of the best things you can have in order to retire early. She notes the influence she's had on her daughter and the changes from her generation to now.
People are retiring early, so they're making smarter decisions on their life, making sure they have pensions and stuff like that. But my daughter, who's now 30, has been had a pension for 5 years. Most young people don't, but I think she did because of me. That pushed her to realize that I had no retirement.
Kelly continues to work hard, and there's no sign of her slowing down soon. Emily Deneen, BCIT's The Crow.
There is an overcrowding issue at TransLink stations across the city. Reporter Alessio Cusano talks about the plans the Vancouver Canada Line station has in preparing for an expansion.
Ahead of the upcoming Oak Ridge Park redevelopment, TransLink, Quadreal, Westbank, and the City of Vancouver are upgrading Canada Line Station, Oak Ridge and 41st Street. Construction, which is set to begin on September 16th, is expected to take 1 year. The station is used by over 7,000 customers daily, a number expected to grow, highlighting the need for more long-term transit investments. As the year goes on, customers may need to adjust schedules, as temporary changes and delays are a possibility due to construction. Alessio Cusano, BCIT's The Crow.
Next up, we have reporter Alessio Cusano join us in-house today to discuss this plan further. So Alessio, who is paying for these upgrades at Oak Ridge 41st Station?
Well, Grace, the developer Oak Ridge Park is the one who is paying for most of these upgrades, with the help of additional funding from new escalators through TransLink's Capital Projects Program from 2022.
And what are some of the upgrades coming to the station?
So after the project is complete, Oak Ridge and 41st Street Station will have 2 new escalators to improve customer accessibility, a new street-level station, entrance with better weather protection, direct underground mall access from the station, and new public art to be displayed in the station.
Thank you, Alessio. British Columbia has signed a national pharmacare deal with Ottawa, becoming the first province in Canada to do so. Federal Health Minister Mark Holland says BC's portion of the $1.5 billion national plan is estimated to be about $195 million. Funding could begin next April after legislation makes its way through the Senate. This funding would help fund more hormone replacement therapy and diabetes expenses. The Canadian government says it is providing $230,000 for new programming at the Nanaimo Museum. The Cultural Heritage Ministry says that the funding is provided through the museum's assistance program and will go towards building a bilingual traveling exhibit about the history of the E&N Railway and land grants on Vancouver Island. The exhibition will highlight the impacts of colonialism and land grants on First Nation treaty negotiations, as well as the future of transportation. The show will move to Vancouver Island University and the Qualicum Beach Museum next year. There is lots of fire activity in the province this fall, and an expert from the BC Wildfire Service says relentless drought conditions is to blame. Dry vegetation is a major concern.
Fuels remain critically dry, particularly in the northern half of the province, and will continue to remain dry through the fall, as we are expecting slightly above normal temperatures and below normal precipitation.
The BC government is adding more than 900 elementary seats in Surrey as part of its plan to expand schools faster. Rachna Singh, Education Minister, says that the province is investing in Surrey and more than 8,200 new student spaces have been built in the last 7 years. Forsyth Road Elementary will add 340 seats, George Greenaway Elementary will get 350 new seats thanks to provincial investment of $21 million. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is around the Greater Vancouver area today, just after wrapping up the 3-day Liberal caucus retreat in Nanaimo. His schedule shows him touring a local cultural museum and to meet with staff, volunteers, and community members. The Minister of Economic Development, Mary Nigg, will also attend. The Habitat Conservation Trust Foundation is allocating $8.5 million to 178 fish and wildlife conservation projects in BC this year. $1 million of that funding will go to projects in the Lower Mainland, including those that protect bats from white noise syndrome. White noise syndrome is a fungal disease that can be fatal for bats, as it forces them to wake up from hibernation and use their energy to groom the fungus off their bodies. Project leader Corey Lawson says that saving the bats is essential to ecosystem health. 3 people in Alberta are murdered inside a home in Lloydminster, Saskatchewan. They were found yesterday when officers responded to a wellness check request. RCMP Staff Sergeant Brian Nickel says details about the victims won't be released.
While I cannot confirm the identities, the cause of death, or other investigative details, I can tell you at this time it appears that this is a targeted, isolated incident.
Donald Trump is ruling out a third presidential debate against Kamala Harris. He posted on Truth Social that there will be no third debate following Tuesday's face-off. He could still change his mind, but based on what he has announced, Tuesday night will likely be the only time voters see the 2 candidates debate each other before the November election.
As everyone saw 2 nights ago, we had a monumental victory over Comrade Kamala Harris in the presidential debate.
In Florida, a school district in the Northeast is trying to restore books with LGBTQ+ content under settlements with students and parents. They are trying to put back in libraries 3 dozen books. The agreement reached settles a lawsuit that claims the district unlawfully limited access to dozens of books. As part of being under the agreement, the school board of Nassau County must restore access to those books, including And Tango Makes 3. This children's book is based on a true story about 2 male penguins that raise a chick together at New York's Central Park Zoo. The Toronto International Film Festival says it has been forced to pause the upcoming screenings of the Russians at War documentary due to significant threats to festival operations and public safety.
The film about Russian soldiers' disillusionment at the front lines of the war in Ukraine had scheduled screenings for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. TIFF says the move to pause the screenings is unprecedented for the festival, but necessary to ensure the safety of attendees, guests, and staff. The film has drawn the ire of Ukrainian officials and community organizations, who say it amounts to propaganda and whitewashes the Russian military's war crimes. TIFF has said the documentary is in no way Russian propaganda, and it stands by its decision to include it in this year's programming. Emily Joveski, The Canadian Press, Toronto.
At the MTV Video Music Awards, Taylor Swift took home the biggest award of the night. She has won the trophy for Video of the Year for Fortnite featuring Post Malone. She took home 7 awards, bringing her career total to 30. She has tied Beyoncé's record, as they are both the most awarded musicians in VMA history. Other artists making wins are Sabrina Carpenter for Song of the Year for Espresso and Katy Perry for Video Vanguard Award. Chappell Rowan won the Best New Artist Award. This afternoon in Vancouver, it is very sunny and 18 degrees Celsius. Be sure to get outside and enjoy the fresh air. That is all for your afternoon cast to 3:30. I'm Grace Chen. See you next time.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow. 2024, Bumble laid off 30% of their staff, and Tinder is continuously losing paid users. To figure out why these massive apps are struggling, we asked college students what they think of online dating in 2024.
Everything that I did on the app kind of led to nowhere.
I just don't want to force meeting people and creating those relationships. It has to happen naturally.
You know, the selection of people on certain dating apps are very weird. Most people don't meet the love of their lives on there. I meet them, I get ghosted after 5 weeks, or I ghost them.
They're pretty gross. I wouldn't recommend.
If you want real love, read a book.
I understand why they would use them, but I feel it's a way to open yourself up to maybe people you wouldn't want to meet.
My friend tried it. He was on Tinder, Hinge, and Bumble for a year straight, and then he found like a princess. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I was pretty jealous, bro.
I haven't really used dating apps before just because I'm a bit scared of being scammed or kidnapped.
I don't think dating apps are very effective, especially for men.
Welcome back to Double Take Discussions. As you could probably tell, today's episode is about dating. More specifically, dating apps and how they have changed the dating culture over the years. As always, I am your host, Keenan Tregaskis, joined by my co-host, Ryan Sheridan, and this is Love at First Swipe.
All right, online dating. I feel like online dating is such an awkward topic, but it's so strange because I feel like everyone has used an online dating platform before, which absolutely shocks me to find out that Bumble has laid off 30% of their staff this year and Tinder is losing paid subscribers. I'm honestly shocked because I feel like everyone I know has tried a dating app, tried some sort of website. I feel like it's just so common. So seeing those stats is just mind-blowing to me, honestly.
Well, I remember we talked about this earlier, how we're young, but also it was huge a couple years ago during COVID. That's when people had to use online dating because you couldn't really go outside. And it's just grown beyond that into a lot of people realizing they have different intentions than other people on dating apps.
I never realized people had different intentions on dating apps. I thought everyone was there to find their match, to date someone, until I experienced it myself. But today I talked to Nicole Haley. She's a dating and life coach in Vancouver with 20 years of experience. And this is what she had to say about how different intentions can cause frustration when it comes to online dating.
Or my intention is I just like to meet a lot of people and I'm not really sure I want anything serious. I just want to go on lots of dates and meet a lot of people, maybe make a friend. Or my intention is I'm really insecure and I just want to know people like me. So I'll have conversations or I just want the likes, but I don't actually want to meet somebody in real life. So what's happening is you have misaligned intentions. And when we have misaligned intentions, that's when we get hurt because we're assuming the people we're interacting with has the same intention as me. And when they don't, we're like, oh my God, I just got ghosted. Or why don't they want to meet me in person? Or why are they not asking anything? Or where did they, like, that's what happens. So it's not wrong. It's just misaligned.
I think that's a perfect example of how different intentions can lead to people being hurt. And I know on these apps, you lay out your intentions. Like you can put down, I want short-term, long-term friends or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, when you do match with someone, you expect that if things go well, you're going to get what you want out of it, without realizing that this other person who you've never met before may really want different things despite what their bio says, because they might be saying things just to get those matches, to get those likes, to get those interactions, when inside they don't feel that way.
For sure. I feel like that's kind of scary. And I mean, I'm not going to lie, Keenan, I'm guilty for creating an online dating profile and like not taking it seriously. I'll look through, see what the options are, read about people, but I'm scared to match with someone. Like I think honestly as a girl as well, it's kind of scary to put yourself out there and go on a date with strangers when you don't know where their head is at. I don't know how it would feel for a man, but definitely as a girl, it can be really scary and you don't know how people are feeling. You don't know who these people are behind the screen.
I do agree with you there, but when we talk about how they used to be like a decade plus ago, I think there was a little less fear on either side, either gender, no matter who you are, because at least with Match.com, there was a permanent paywall, so people were having to pay to get into it anyways, and answer some security questions to verify that you're a person, to verify that you are a good person who is looking for people to date. Whereas now you build your profile, you put your pictures on, you slap it together, 5 minutes later, you're swiping.
Well, exactly. And there are payment options for Tinder and Hinge and every dating app, but it's just an option. You don't have to. There's some extra benefits you would get out of it. So I think more serious people would pay for a Tinder subscription, but people aren't doing that because you can just swipe through the app and you will have a crazy amount of options. It's so oversaturated. Everyone is on them. It's so transactional and quick nowadays, where back then it was basically only serious people looking for relationships paying their subscription fee. But now everyone is on them. You don't even have to be of age. People underage are making accounts. It's gone crazy. And I think that because of the overuse and abuse, people are deleting the app and they get it back and they'll delete it again and get it back and kind of rely on it as a default. But people are hoping to meet people organically, and they're using Tinder as like a default option.
Yeah, well, even with the paid users who are on Tinder or Hinge or Bumble, you still have all those free users who you'd be seeing anyways. It's not like you're paying to become part of this exclusive club of other paid users and you only see their profiles, you can only like them or match with them to indicate that you're getting together with more serious people with similar intentions to you. You're still seeing those people who are there to mess around, to just have conversations or hook up or whatever it is. But you did mention organic there, and that's going to bring me into my next point here, is that organic relationships are trying to come back. And one way that they are coming back is through running clubs, which you and I figured out when we were researching for this episode. Down in America, in New York, they have a big boom with running clubs and people going there with the effort to and the intention to date people that they meet there, like other similar people. Obviously, you're both at the running club, so that's a similar interest right there. And it's also become a bit of a trend up here. And I was actually able to interview the manager of Flight Crew Run Club here in the Vancouver area. His name's Tristan, and he shared a similar view with me on this topic.
Because of its tenure, it doesn't feel too much like people are like coming out specifically for the dating or relationship style aspect of it, but I think I see it like very heavily influenced in terms of how social it is.
I find it kind of funny because I don't think anyone would openly admit that they're like going to a running club to find love, but there is a specific running club that does focus on that, right, Keenan?
Yeah, well, I learned this from Tristan off camera. But he did tell me about a local running club in the Vancouver area. The running club is called the Monday Run Club, but the single run club is on Wednesday, and it's called Soul Ties, where people, all singles, local singles, whatever, in the area get together for a run on Wednesday night, and depending on the color of the shirt you are wearing indicates what type of relationship you want with the other people there. Unfortunately, neither one of us were able to get through to them in time for this podcast, but it is something that's very interesting. They didn't have any really contact information, but they do have a social media page, Monday Run Club, where you can find their information.
I think that's so cool. Maybe I need to check it out because I'm clearly not having any success on dating apps, but oh my god, I did see a funny quote about the run club in New York. People were saying at that run club that it's easier to join a run club and less tiring than swiping on a dating app, which it's like
it's ironic.
Yeah, it's ironic, but it's hilarious. People are really just going out of their way to try new things and meet more like-minded people, which is great. I think that needs to happen, but I found that really funny, and I found it really interesting when I was talking to Nicole. She mentioned that people just don't know how to interact anymore. I'm not sure if it's because of COVID or what it is, because of dating apps, because of COVID. People
or just texting in general,
yeah.
too. Because you can you can text and take as long as you want to write a sentence, or when you're talking to someone in person, you kind of have to go off the ball, speak right away.
Of course, there's so many keyboard warriors out there. I don't know who to trust.
But here's the other part. People are like, I want to meet organic. I want to meet organic. But they actually don't know how to do it. So when you go in and you're out and about, whether it's the grocery store or at like a networking event or even a social, like a sporting thing, people don't know how to make eye contact. People don't know how to smile. People don't know how to approach each other anymore. So as much as people say they want it to be organic and natural, we've lost that skill to interact with each other. And that's a skill we have to build back in. And it's really evident since post-COVID.
I 100% agree with what she's saying. And before we wrap up here, Ryan, you need to hear this stat. We talked about how they peaked in COVID, and on Statista, I found that it kind of proves this. So 2019 to 2021, total revenue on dating apps went from 124.51 million to 162 million.
Wow. In 2 years?
In 2 years.
Wow.
Can you guess what we're at now? We've had 3 years since 2021.
Oh my gosh. So post-COVID?
Post-COVID.
Post-COVID. Oh my gosh, I don't even know. Just lay it on me.
We are at 181.67 million. So that's about a 20 million increase in 3 years compared to the 40 million over that span in COVID.
Wow.
So you can see it, the arc of their income kind of flatlining, and it looks like the prediction is that it's going to continue to flatline because the expected total income come 2028 is expected to be 198.36 total revenue made from dating apps. These are the stats from dating apps in Canada. So this is our country's total revenue built up over the years.
Okay, Keenan, now that we're love experts, is it time for me to delete Hinge?
Yeah, I think we learned that in-person interactions are better for relationships.
I think so too.
Yeah, I'd say we're love experts.
I would say we are. Thank you so much for listening to Double Take Discussions. I'm Ryan Sheridan.
And I'm Keenan Tregaskis. And if you want real love, read a book.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Teresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.